Renee. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm really happy you're here. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a while since I posted a lifestyle content video here. I'm getting ready for a walk and I'm going to bring you up to speed with what's been happening in life for the last few months. So let's go for a walk together in the woods. I guess you could say I'm back. I didn't go anywhere, but I haven't been on YouTube or at least I should say, I haven't been making lifestyle videos. Is that what they are? Lifestyle videos on YouTube. I recently posted a video which was me reading an essay. Boring as hell. I'm just going to say that. I recognize that. I recognize watching me reading essays that I've written is really boring. I haven't been producing, let's say, the lifestyle content because I've been very busy finishing my master's degree. My last video that wasn't just me reading an essay was about backpacking trip that I took with my mom last fall we went in September, but I published that video in October. When I sit down to edit this video, I may do some scenes for you of what fall and winter were like, outside of hours and hours of writing and researching. I had an incredible fall and winter. There was a blip there that was very intense and difficult. It was right before I started the meat, I should say. Why do we call the meat? Why do we refer to the hard work of something or the main body of something as the meat? I don't know, that's weird. Okay, so right before I really got into the work of writing my paper, I had the worst anxiety attack that I have had for many years. So I have a propensity to anxiety, and I have had different experiences and times in my life where I've struggled with anxiety and anxious episodes, and those have abated quite a bit in recent years. So my anxiety as I was getting going on my paper was kind of shocking to me, distressing, just even that I was experiencing it after so many years of feeling like I have a handle on that. Oh, it was like, oh my God, not this again. But so that happened in November, late November, early December. My point in sharing this is to say that was the low point of the last 5 months for me. But other than that, it's been pretty amazing. When I go to edit this, I might throw in some video footage and some just photos and maybe some voice overlay of what has happened in the past 5 months. Oh, I'm at another stream. Here we go. Okay, let's cross this. I have documented some of that on my blog, and especially one of the highlights from that time, which was Christmas with my kids all coming for our first Christmas in Nova Scotia in our house. So we've had many Christmases in this house when it was my parents, but this was the first Christmas when that house was our house. And hosting and bringing my kids home was a just complete joy for me. So I documented that whole experience through a series of daily journals on my blog. That was 11 days of Christmas. Christmas was really fun, and it was a highlight for me of the last few months. But the rest of fall and winter has also been rather amazing. Going back to last October, we just enjoyed I enjoyed the beauty of the fall season. And a lot was happening at the sanctuary, which is the name of where we live. My dad was renovating the open space above our garage to make it into a living space so my brother could move here for a time. So that renovation or build happened, and I was making decisions about paint colors and cabinets and different like design and finish elements, things I've never done before. That was a fun time. It was also kind of intense with a lot of coming and going on the property and action. So we had renovations going on, none of which I was doing. Just to be clear, this is not a DIY construction, DIY building YouTube channel. Anyways, so we also had family coming to visit from other provinces. I'm out in the woods right now, so I can't recall all the things that happened that month, but I wrote them down around the time of my anxiety attack, my experience with anxiety, as I was trying to process why I was having that anxiety attack. So I wrote down all the things that had happened in the fall, and doing that, it was like, this is not entirely surprising. There has been a lot going on in our lives. So there was a lot in that month, and then in November, the highlight was going to see Taylor Swift with my daughter in Toronto. So that was traveling there. It was an intense 2-night fly in, go to the show, experience all that, fly out the next day. I mean, we had the night before, but it was like just a fast turnaround. And when I came home from that is when I got sick. Oh, I never said that yet, did I? No, I talked about my anxiety attack, but I didn't today. That's right. That also precipitated the anxiety. When I came home from Toronto and seeing Taylor Swift, flew home on a Saturday morning. And by the time I got home on a Saturday night, driving from Halifax to our home on the South Shore, it's raining outside, my husband's driving the car, and I'm starting to get chills in my body. And I'm like, I am not feeling good. Like, I'm starting to feel chilled. And by the time we got home, maybe it was 8 p.m., I crawled into bed with layers and both sweaters and layers of blankets, and I was down. So I got the worst flu. I know this is like the story of worsts in this whole anxiety time, but I'm pretty sure it was the flu. I don't test myself for what exactly these things are, but it was the worst flu I've had for many years. And this kind of happens, I think, sometimes in moving different places. The last time I was so sick was the winter of 2016, which was the winter after we moved to Montreal. And we were in like a new city, taking the metro, exposed to new germs and new bugs, after having lived in the woods, essentially. So sometimes moving to new places can precipitate an illness like that. This is my hypothesis here. I do not speak as a medical professional, okay? So there was that, but also there was having just flown on a plane, gone to Toronto, gone to a Taylor Swift concert with 50,000 other fans or whatever the number was. So, I mean, who's to say, but I came back sick. I was out for a week, and out in terms of like sleeping in bed during the day, barely getting in my work hours. My work is part-time, and if I'm not doing anything else, I can manage to work part-time while being sick, because you just do it when you have moments of lucidity and energy, and that was doable for me. But everything else was not, which included working on my paper. And I was at the point where I had to get started on the writing of it, having already done my proposals and edits of those proposals, which was like a long process. When I got to the end of that week, it was a week later, and I was like, okay, I still don't feel great, but I have to get moving on this writing. That's when the anxiety hit me. And that was like, then I was dealing with that anxiety for about 2 weeks, and it was waning as the weeks progressed. I'm not going to get into my management of anxiety in this video, unless if you're interested in that, and you leave a comment or something, that might be something that I can talk about. But it's not a huge part of my life, and I feel like everybody or a lot of people deal with and manage anxiety these days, so I don't think I have anything special that way to offer. But I will say this, I had to sit down because I had writing to do, and like anxiety, I can't think straight, right? I had to sit down and discipline myself to write, even though I wasn't thinking very well, and I was like terrified. I mean, this is what anxiety is doing in my body. I was terrified that I would not be able to get to where I needed to go with this project, which is where I am now. And I did get here, but I was terrified I'm going to sit down for a moment to share this part. So I was terrified in that period of that I wouldn't like get to where I am now, and that I just had all this work to do in excavating these ideas within myself and drawing all these connections to the literature and to the research and making new connections, which is what the point of the writing is. That just was so daunting to me, coming out of being sick and just feeling like I didn't have the capacity or the capability to do that. And I had to discipline, like force myself to sit down and just write. And it was really hard. Like the only way I do that is really under deadline and under compulsion, a type of compulsion. And making progress on that was a type of compulsion because of my desire to graduate this spring. And when I sat down to do the writing, I had to just tell myself, this feels terrible. It's not like a panic attack in which, you feel like you're going to die, because you can't breathe or whatever, or your heart rate's going. But it just feels so terrible. I felt like I could not do this. And I had to just do it anyways and know that whatever I was producing, I would have time to edit it and rework it, but I had to get words on paper and I had to move forward. And it was like excruciating. I mean, sounds a bit like hyperbole. It's not like, being physically tortured or something. It was really hard, mentally and emotionally to do that. But what I noticed in doing that was that every day it got a little bit better. And I made a schedule for myself during that time of all the days I would sit down and work on it leading up to my Christmas prep, when Christmas prep started, and then a schedule for after Christmas. And by the time I was shifted into Christmas prep, the anxiety had lifted and it hasn't returned since. So yay, that was great. That takes us to the Christmas. So Christmas prep for me didn't start until December 15th. because of everything that was happening in the fall, and then my work on the paper, and then my travels, and then getting sick, and then anxiety, and then having to write, blah, blah, blah. Christmas prep did not start until the 15th. That's when we went and got our tree. And then I was just like full on, let's get things ready for hosting Christmas, and working up until like, I think I had a week of work after that before I took 2 weeks off for Christmas. So that was December. January was implementing the plan that I had set out for myself for writing my essay. And so that was like very scheduled days that I worked, that when I was doing grocery shopping, that kind of thing. I had made a schedule for myself, scheduling out all my writing days through January and February, which was 2 days a week. I was writing on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then as I got to the end, I had to add extra days in there, some Thursdays and a Sunday, one of those weeks. But other than those additions near the end when it gets intense, I was taking Sundays off so that I, was basically, working 6 days a week and then having Sundays as a rest day, which was great. And it worked really well. I made this schedule and it worked. And that's always satisfying. But with the intensity of that project, finishing my master's, there was really no extra stuff happening in winter. So often I do winter trips to take advantage of winter, whether it is like a week-long trip, and it's a winter thing. It's not to get away from winter, it's to be in winter, either by myself. I've done trips to cabins in the woods in Quebec, where I used to live. My husband and I have done like 5 nights, like from hut to hut to hut, doing snowshoeing, just these kind of things. So none of that could happen this winter because my schedule just did not allow for it. And I had been nervous isn't the right word, but I had been curious about what winter would be like in Nova Scotia, because it's not as wintry of a place as Quebec, where I used to live. But as it turned out, this winter was a very wintry winter with colder temperatures and therefore more snow. Because often what happens where I live on the south shore of Nova Scotia is there's precipitation, but it's not cold enough, so it'll be rain. But this year, temperatures were cold enough that there was more snow than they've had for years. I don't know the exact number, decades perhaps. And so I had a winter. And I was not expecting that. And so it really made those 2 months of January and February very special for me. I couldn't go somewhere to enjoy winter, but I could enjoy it out my front window. I did some snowshoeing back here where I am right now. Obviously no snowshoeing right now, but that was just even 2 weeks ago. So it was an amazing winter, an amazing first winter here, and it felt like just such a gift, having expected to not have so much of a winter. I know it was an anomaly. It's not something I can count on, but it was a gift nonetheless. And now we're here. It's March. I'm doing the final edits and revisions on my paper. And like the final deadline for all that is mid-April. And I am set to graduate this spring and will be convocating, doing the walk across the stage thing in June in Montreal. So that season is coming to an end. And that's I've been doing that for 4 years. I started 4 years ago this January. So that season is coming to an end. And so is the winter season here in Nova Scotia. We're going to have now kind of just a long, drawn out, early, mid, late spring. That's kind of how it works here. And I am going to be resuming producing videos. And I'm not going to talk in this video about plans I have that way. I actually do have some plans. I think I'm going to save that for the next one. This one I just wanted to bring you up to speed with what has been happening and why I've been absent for all the dozens, handfuls of people that might watch this. This is why I haven't been here. And I realize that like consistency is super important when you are producing videos for YouTube if you want to grow a channel, and I do. So I realize that was, but it was what it was because of other priorities that I had. And it wasn't even some like really difficult decision to be made. The masters had to be finished. So that chapter season of my life is wrapping up, and I am going to be turning time and energy to this, as well as the other things that I have going on in my life. So that's stuff that will be showing up here in the coming months, the things that I'm up to, the things that I'm doing, the ideas that I have going right now. That looks like a crazy symbol or a crazy gesture. Not trying to do that. I'm trying to say there's things churning in my mind. I have ideas and hoping to bring them to life here, as well as just doing the living of my life. But it's actually the living of my life that I want to be making content about and bringing to this channel. Okay, so that's where I've been. It's where I'm at right now. And I hope to be able to get this edited and that it's not too terrible. Finding that line of like just producing and shipping, getting things out and iterating on that process so that it gets better as I do it, and not getting too hung up on it could be better right now, because it could always be better right now. And better, but I'm talking about my production value and how these look and how they sound and everything. It always could be better right now, but I need to iterate on that production cycle and workflow and practice to work towards the better. This is what I tell myself. Anyways, I'm gonna now turn this off and enjoy just the rest of my walk, not having to have this hold this thing out in front of me, and hope to bring this to you soon. So I'm back. It's March, and it's a new season of life.